Good morning guys, welcome to another episode of Alan's Allotment. It's Sunday the 12th of July 2020. Hope everybody's staying safe, being practical and keeping themselves out of harm's way. For new visitors to this channel, just to let you know, we have a bit of a growing area, we have a polytunnel. I keep rarer coloured racing pigeons and fantails. We also cater for doing various different DIY projects on this channel, and you can see some of those in earlier videos. Right, if you are new here, please do hit the subscribe button, then the little bell icon on the right, and that'll alert you every time I put up a new video. And welcome to all my new subscribers. Right guys, so today I haven't got a plan. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but the first thing I'm going to be doing is having this cup of coffee. The birds are all fed and watered. The youngsters are coming on great, that we put through last weekend. Well, the first ones went through last weekend and the last of them went through midweek. I had a little check on the ice hens youngsters yesterday and they're growing really well, so I'm pleased with those. Can't wait to see what they turn out like, guys. They might just come out like regular blue bars, but we'll see. I've never read the ice factor before, so I'm hoping and praying we get something nice out of those. Right, so also I've done a quick check on the reduced hen and the brown bar cock, and it does appear that they are just two light brown checks, but they're very, very bonny birds. And if one of them should be a cock, it will be carrying the reduced gene, guys, so and the opal gene, so that will hopefully transfer when that bird gets used in the breeding. So yeah, I ordered myself a pH tester, soil tester, and I also ordered myself one of these big compost meters as well for testing the heat in your compost, ready for when we start to fill those compost bins up. And we want to be able to get up to sort of 60 degrees and make sure it's composting and all the rest of it. I also, the pH tester is a 3-in-1. It basically tests the pH of the soil, the moisture in your soil, and the light in your growing area to see if it's sufficient. That goes without saying inside a polytunnel, the light is sufficient. However, moisture, sometimes you're a bit undecided. You remember back on some of my videos when I looked back and I said, I'm not sure whether I'm overwatering, guys, or underwatering. So that will come in handy. And there's a little switch on there that it doesn't take batteries or anything. It basically just uses the probes in the soil and registers on the meter, obviously for moisture. But it also registers pH, which is one of the most important things when you're growing vegetables, as most people who are visiting this channel will know. And this is a hindsight thing. It should have been done at the beginning of the season. If you remember me telling you when I had ordered all the compost, that it wasn't very good quality compost. It was basically a cheap bulk buy coming in 1-ton bags. And we didn't dress it down with anything, guys. We had a little bit of slow release fertilizer on the surface, and that was about it. And it suddenly dawned on me over in one of the areas, in the growing area. If you remember, I had some little cabbages that I very first transplanted. The leaves were going purple, and I couldn't work out what it was. And also I've noticed on the turnips as well, some of the leaves are turning purple on those. And with my runner beans not looking too clever and the peas taking a while to get established, I'm thinking there's a bit of a lack of something obviously in that compost. So I also have a bag of garden lime now to try and address that problem. I believe the soil is probably a bit acidic. So I bought the pH tester basically to test the pH of the soil. We can try and correct it by putting a few handfuls of lime on the bed if it is a bit acidic, and that will address the problem and hopefully help to balance things out a little bit. Right, I also ordered myself a load of seeds ready for next year, and some I'll use this year. Some things I've never grew before, so you can follow me along with these guys and see how this goes. So I'm just going to read a short list of what I actually ordered. And I ordered these seeds from Premier Seeds on Amazon. And what I like about these is they come in the foil packs, which I particularly like. and secondly, you get a lot of seeds for the money. So, and I know the Premier Seeds has a reputable, what's the word I'm looking for? Has a good reputation. Right, so we've got lettuce, which is a mixed lettuce basically, different colours. We've got carrot, resist fly F1s. We've got another mix of lettuce. And another one. We like lettuces. Another carrot, resist fly F1. Then I've got some cucamelons. Now I've never grew cucamelons before, but I have seen some YouTube videos with them, and they look nice. I like cucumber and I like melons, so it seems to be somewhere in between. It's apparently a small cucumber that tastes like watermelon. Really look forward to that one, guys, but we'll see how or if they germinate. Then I've got some perpetual spinach as well, and you get a lot of seeds in your packet for this. Then I've got some kohlrabi. Now I've never grew that before. Maybe give that a little go. And then we've got some more rhubarb Victoria from seed. We're going to just plant one or two of those and maybe dot them around the allotment in the where the pigeons are, even up against the fences where all the nettles normally are. Might make a little bit of a bed or something, put some weed membrane down or something like that, and then plant them in between those. Just tidy the edges up a little bit on the pigeon side, and it'd be good growing ground straight into the ground there for them, and they'll get all the relevant moisture, etc. Then we've got another lettuce variety, which is basically it's an all year round lettuce, and as I say, we like lettuce. Cucumber, a variety I've never grown. It's Telegraph. Apparently they're really big long cucumbers. I do like the market more cucumbers, which are the ones I'm growing, by the way. They have a bit of a melony taste to them, at least I've found anyways. And then I got some more tomato seeds, Alicante. I do like the Alicante tomato. And in this one small packet here, guys, there's 170 seeds. Value for money, in my opinion. Then we've got some Swiss chard. I've never grown chard before. This is a rainbow variety. It grows in various different colours. So yeah, we'll see how that goes as well, guys. I'm probably too late with a lot of these, or most of these even. But I'll do a look up to see if I'm not too late with some things and maybe get them started. Then I've got another little packet. This is mustard. 3,000 seeds in that packet there, guys. And then we've got another cucumber Telegraph, another cucamelon. Even the cucamelons, you get 65 seeds in that little packet. And apparently, if you at the end of the season, if you dig up the root of the cucamelon and you store it according to you would with your dahlia tubers, you can replant it. So that's a lot of value for money, in my opinion, if you get a couple of those that survive and plant them early. Apparently they're even more prolific than a cucumber as well. So that'll really be interesting. I might even plant a couple of these as an experiment. I know it's late in the year, but I might just, if I keep them in the polytunnel, I might even sacrifice a couple of those suckers there, guys, and pull them out. But I won't do that unless, of course, they germinate. So I'll maybe put 5 or 6 of these in just to see if they germinate, and we'll give them a whirl, see if we can get something out this year, guys. A little bit of an experiment. And even if we only get them to a certain size, we'll store the tubers and see if we can get those to reproduce next year. Another Alicante tomato and carrot, Autumn King. Now I can use these this year. And of course I've got a good old bag of peas, Rondo. Never tried this variety before, but yeah. And again, you get a lot of seeds, 300 in there for about £1 or something like that, guys. But more importantly, these seeds are coming from a reputable supplier with a good reputation. I've never personally used any of these before, but because they have a good reputation, I'm going to make an assumption that they should be good seed, and we should get a high germination value out of them. Anyways, I've rabbled on for quite some time now, guys. I just thought you might find that a little of a bit of interest of some seeds that I've selected to grow going forward, either this year and or next year. Right, go and have this cup of coffee, guys. As I say, all the pigeons have been done and the chickens, and then I'm just going to see where it takes me and where I go. You'll have to follow me along to see. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you later. Right, guys, so this is the little pH meter that I was telling you about earlier, and I plonked it in here basically and left it a little while so that it can give me a meter reading. And I'm going to try and get up relatively close and hopefully you'll be able to see this. So basically what it's showing me here is that we've got the needle in the green. Sorry about the camera, guys. The needle's almost in the green and just varying on dry. So that would say, or sort of indicate, that these plants will need a drink very soon. The pH, and I'm not sure whether you can see, which is indicated on the bottom row, is sitting around 6. Now anywhere between 5 and 7, I'm led to believe, is good. So I'm a little bit miffed. This is exactly the same compost that we used in the garden area over there. However, under here, of course, we've got the good soil, because we went straight no dig, bit of cardboard down. So it's quite possible that the cardboard is now deteriorated and the nutrients have working their way through up from the soil underneath, and the plants are down, have got the roots down that far, and basically that's where we're picking our reading up from now, guys. And as I say, we did put some, as you can see there, slow release fertiliser on the tops of the beds, and as we've been watering, it may be that we've sort of got the soil somewhere near in here. Now I didn't have a worry in the polytunnel, to be honest. As you can see, everything's growing really well. We did have one or two little setbacks, but nothing major in here. We had a bit of a slow growth on the cucumbers, which, as you can see now, guys, are really growing really well. And that was the only thing that we really struggled with, to be honest, in here. These lettuces, as you know, I planted these, I think it was around March. We're now in July, and we've been picking lettuce leaves off these 7 or 8 plants, and they've never stopped producing, basically, guys. And now we're getting hearts on them, as you can see, and we can use the hearts as well. Now this one here, there's an odd one still throwing an odd loose leaf, which we'll keep picking until they stop and then leave them to heart. But some of them now are starting to heart up, as you can see, guys, with only the odd loose leaf, which we'll continue to take, as I said, until they do heart up. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 7 lettuces in here, guys, and they've kept a family of 2 going all season since March. I still have all the lettuces over in the garden, the red lettuces, the little gems, and I have more icebergs over there which I've never touched. To be honest, I'm going to pull all those icebergs out. We'll still use the red lettuce, but I'm going to get the icebergs out because they didn't do anywhere near as good as these ones in here. And more importantly, I can use that bed space for something else, because we've got enough here to keep us going lettuce wise, guys. With hindsight, we planted too many, but don't we always? We better put a few extras in case, and then we end up with way too many plants, guys. We just do. again, just a quick look around. As you can see, everything is flourishing in here. So I had no concerns in here. The butternut squash are humongous. So I never had any concerns in this particular polytunnel. However, the growing area might throw us up a different result. So I'm going to take the pH meter over there and check a couple of beds over there, guys. Now, obviously, as the year's gone on as well and the cardboard's deteriorated over there, we might get a different reading now. That might also explain why, when we put the brassicas into the bed after the potatoes, they are doing so well as opposed to the others that we put in earlier. So it might be that the soil is actually conditioning itself now, but we might just give it a slight amendment with some lime. Anyways, we'll go and do a check over there, guys, see what happens. See you later. Bye. Right, guys, so this is where we have the little French dwarf beans and the peas that have took a really long time to get established in here. A couple of primroses, and if you remember, we had the very first cabbages we ever planted were in this bed, and the leaves were purple. The leaves kept going purple on these, and they were stunted. They never ever grew. Now then, this is something interesting here, guys. If you look at the meter reading on this one, it's over in the blue, which is very, very acidic. So there's our problem, or I believe there's our problem right there. This particular bed here is very acidic, and that would explain why the cabbages just weren't growing and why the leaves had gone purple. So what we're going to do is address this bed, and we're going to dress it down with some lime. About three handfuls, 3 good handfuls, about 3 pounds of lime on there, just right lightly into the surface, and the rain will wash that in, and that should hopefully address and balance out the pH on this particular bed. So it seems that was an issue, certainly in that bed there, guys. It'll be interesting what results we get when I go into the turnip bed with this as well. Probably something along the similar lines. We'll check it out in a minute, guys. Right, guys, this really is a handy little gadget, this. I think it was about 13 or 14 quid on Amazon. But as you can see, these are the turnips. Mostly they're green, but you can see lots of purpling on the foliage in this bed. I'm not sure why certain beds seem to be better than others. However, the potato beds would obviously put some form of nourishment or drew out the acidities on the other bed where I put the brassicas. But here's another this little meter seems to be quite universal, guys. And so what we've done is we've plonked it in here amongst the turnips. And at the moment we're going on moisture level content. And as you can see, although the surface is bone dry, it's wet. It's actually saying it's wet under there. Now that would be self-explanatory, as we've had a lot of rain lately, guys. So we're going to just flick the switch over now onto the pH and see what sort of a reading we get on pH now. Wow. Now then, as you can see, in the other bed we had our needle just into the blue, which I need to get this the right way around now. Yeah, so it's telling me now that soil is as acidic as it can possibly be. It's right over. It's right over as far as the needle can go. It's down on about 3. And according to the instructions of this meter, 3 is the most acidic, with 8 being the most alkaline. So it's quite clear to see, guys, according to this meter, if it's accurate, this bed is terribly, terribly acidic. And that would be why, excuse me, these beans are struggling the way they are. And probably why the peas, I lost a lot of peas in there. Some of them did manage to fight it off and get established. But ridiculous. The levels of, the pH levels in this bed are way, way down. It's really acidic in here, guys. So at least with this little meter now, it helps me solve some of the mysteries. I'm not sure how these little turnips that have managed to survive and come through. are going to taste. The proof will be in the pudding, as they say. But this certainly seems to be a handy little gadget, guys. It's telling me that bed is wet, not moist, but wet. And as you can see, it's still saying it's as acidic as it could possibly be. So I'm not quite sure whether to just give this bed up as a bad job as well and reclaim this one as well, guys. Decisions. See you later, guys. Bye. So another interesting point. The onions, although they're not the best onions I've ever grew in the world, or in a lifetime, it didn't turn out too bad this year. They're not massive, but they're certainly edible. And if you remember, under this bed here, we went straight on top of a load of nettles, and then we've done the cardboard, and then we threw the compost. Now nettles are obviously a good source of nitrogen, and it may be that they've composted down underneath there, but just want to show you this, guys. In this bed here, the pH is almost perfect. Now we've got the apple trees and pear trees and whatever in this bed as well, guys. And this is a lot deeper, this bed, but it has settled quite considerably. And as you can see, we do still have a couple of nettles starting to pop through. As I say, I've only ever weeded this bed once this year, and of course we need to get these cleared out. And what I'm going to do is I've got some leeks and onions, and because I know this bed has been relatively productive, we're going to harvest these onions, and we're going to put those leeks and those onions, and we're going to transplant them into this bed. But as you can see, guys, the pH in this bed is probably as good as it's going to be. Maybe one handful of lime on the top of here and raked in lightly might just give us different results with the next round of onions and leeks. Let's wait and see what happens. Okay, guys, for every success we get failures. Just so you guys can see that this isn't all a bed of roses, and things don't always go according to plan or how we would like them. So you may remember in here we had, I thought it was 4, but we had 3 Sapo Mira potatoes in a really good deep bed. What I forgot to take into consideration, of course, is when we planted this tree, the roots had spread out over this area quite deeply, and that affected the yield that we got off the Sapo Miras. Now again, they dug up probably 5 or 6 weeks early now, guys, but I'm just going to show you the pathetic yield that we got off these 3 potatoes. That's it. That's all we got out of them, guys. So we got 2 half decent ones, 1 really good big one that the worms had got and eaten from the inside out, and that's pretty much all we got there, guys. That's what you would normally expect to get off 1 plant. That's off 3. Now the overriding factor with that was, as I say, the roots off the tree had spread over here, and it was really hard work even just getting those potatoes out of there. Not a good idea with hindsight, but at the end of the day, I had 3 potatoes left. I wanted them in, and I just threw them in there. I never did think they were going to come or amount to anything. So we're taking all the onions up out as well. We're going to recover this bed. You can see the onion skins that I've peeled off. They'll literally just be dug back into the ground just to put a bit of nitrogen back in there, guys. So the onions were slightly better, as you can see. So we've got a nice row of onions here. Now these were grown from sets, these guys, and they're not brilliant, but there's a nice little feed of onions there, and we've already had some of these as well, guys. So I've literally pulled the rest out to finish it off because I want to reuse this bed now, guys, and I might as well put it to more production and see if we can get another crop of onions, even if they're only small onions or turn out like spring type onions, and maybe some leeks in here as well. Now I'm conscious that we have the roots coming under here, and I'm not sure how the leeks will pan out, guys, but to be honest, I'm only planting a few just to see how it goes, guys. Right, just a quick update. I'll catch you later. Bye. Right, guys, so we've finished tidying this bed up a bit. we firmed it all back down with our feet, and we're going to get ready to start transplanting the onions and leeks. So even if you have poor soil, you can do something about it, I've now discovered. And I should have known this from years ago. I've got a great big bag of lime in the garage there that's been there for years. It'll still be okay. So what I've done is I've prepared this bed. Yes, you'll see a bit of greenery. That'll just rot down in there and provide a bit of nitrogen. So what I've done is I've just put 3 piles of lime on this bed. Just to put it in perspective, that's the size of the bed, guys. So each of those plant pots there, which is basically a 3-inch plant pot, it weighs approximately £1 in weight, guys. I'm talking old money here. So about £3 on a bed this size. And you could put a little bit more if you were very, very, very acidic. But because this bed was already not bad, and we're sort of sitting at the 7 mark, which is the higher end of where we want it to be, about 5. So these 3 piles of lime here will hopefully address that and sort it out. So we're just going to lightly rake this in onto the surface, guys, before we plant, and hopefully we'll see an improvement on our next crop. See you later, guys. Bye. And there we go, guys, just like that. Simply spread it out, rake it out over the surface, and of course when it rains or we water in, I'll all just wash down into there, and it'll help to correct the pH on this bed. Alright, guys, just a little tip as well: when you're using this, don't use your bare hands on lime, and protect your eyes as well, guys, because it can burn your skin, and if it gets in your eyes you'll really know about it. So yeah, put a pair of goggles on and use a pair of gloves, guys, when you're handling lime. I'll see you later. Bye. Right, guys, just having a cup of coffee again. Yeah, pretty dehydrated as always. Right, so at this stage in the video I basically want to say that my mentor, or the guy who I learned from, is my father-in-law. And when I had explained to him that some of the crops were just struggling and one thing and another, it was his suggestion to get a little pH meter and check the pH. So he says, for a few quid, invest in it, do a test, you'll know exactly what your problem is. And he was right. So as you can see in the turnip bed, the damage it does to the leaves, and you've seen in earlier videos with the purpling of the cabbages, and it stunted the plants. They just weren't grown until I moved them. Now I'm not quite sure why in different beds we got different results. The lettuce bed, for instance, where we had the spicy leaves and things like that, most of the plants in there grew like wildfire. Now it's quite possible, remember when I ordered the compost, I got a couple of ton, and then a few days later or even a week later I got another couple of ton, and it might be there were different batches. Maybe some was rotting down better than others, maybe I don't know the materials they had used, I don't know, but I can only make an assumption on that. So yeah, basically things that I'm learning this year myself. Although I've grew vegetables in the past, years ago I used to just throw them in the ground and hope for the best. I've got to be honest, I really did. But now I want to sort of spend more time and try and get maximum produce out of a small area, which is, to be honest, I'm not complaining because I've had some success in spite of. But you win some and you lose some, guys. That is the nature of gardening. There's times I've felt like giving up. But when you take a step back and you look, you can say, right, you know what, yeah, it happens. It isn't just me, it's everybody. We all have successes and we all have failures. And the successes, as I've said before, are much sweeter when they do come along. Right, guys, so hopefully this has been a benefit to someone, and you've learned from my mistakes. And hopefully I've learned from my mistakes as well. That's the most important thing, guys. But I can always look back on these videos next year if I'm having a problem and go, yeah. But hopefully once we get all that cow manure on this year and we get plenty of nitrogen in those beds and then get it all well composted down and rotted over the winter, we'll get different results next year and hopefully for the better. But yeah, we'll wait and see how that pans out, guys. So if you're still with me, then thanks for bearing with me, guys, and coming along. I know some of my videos tend to be a bit long, but I hope that's something you enjoy. And if not, comments in the section tell me to shorten them down a bit and I'll try and do that for you guys. But I'm hoping that today's video will at least be of use to some of my subscribers. Right, I'm going to have this cup of coffee, stop babbling, and I'm going to get back in that garden and get those onions and some of those leeks in. I'll see you later, guys. Bye. Right, guys, I'm not sure how the wind's affecting this, but there we have it, guys. So in total we've got 48 leeks. We put a couple down this end as well, and there was a bit of a reasoning behind that. If you remember, early in the year we planted garlic up at this top end here, and it never ever did grow, guys. Now it's quite possible I just planted it way too deep, and that's the reason why it just rotted in the ground and didn't get established. So we've planted the leeks up here as well, one to test to make sure that was the case. We planted the garlic too deep, and see if they do actually grow on. And then they're up till about this stick, a bit of bamboo that you can see into the ground there. So all those are leeks, guys. Then from this stick down here we've got 30 onions, planted in a very similar way, but we didn't go as deep with these. So we just put a little hole in the ground and literally just dropped them in, give them a bit of haircut, drop them in and water them in. And a very similar process, and that's how we've done it. So there's 30 onions and 48 leeks in here, guys. So we'll just see what happens, and especially now we've put the lime in on the bed, we'll just see if they do grow, whether we get a crop. Now, like I said, I'm not expecting these onions to be giants. I'm not even expecting them to be as big as the ones I've already pulled, but if we get some salad onions out of them, then I'll be happy with that, guys. I'll see you later. Bye. Right, guys, so one last job I've done here is I've basically just threw some of this barrier netting over the top. I've literally just laid it on top. It's just to try and stop the birds from pulling all of these back out after we've gone to so much trouble of putting them in. It's literally laid over the top of the plants. Now, as they get established, they will push up on this because it's very, very light. But the main thing is, if the birds drop on it, they will flatten one or two. But the idea is we'll get the majority of them to take root, guys, and we'll be able to at least hopefully get some form of a crop out of here. So we've just put that in place now, and hopefully that's going to protect these off the birds just until they get established and get rooted, guys. Once that happens, we'll take it off, roll it up, and we can use it again. See you later, guys. Bye. Okay, guys, so this is our bed that we grew our early potatoes in here. We had 6 early potatoes in there and 4 Sarpo meters, and we lifted those a while ago. And we never done anything with this other than put a top dressing on of wood chip and pigeon manure, which came out of the pigeon loft. And if you remember, we put that on as an insulator against the frost for the potatoes. Now, I said right at the start when we done this that it was just an experiment. Now I've just put in the meter into this bed, and I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see this on the camera, guys. We've had that sitting in there about 10 minutes now to get an accurate reading from it. And basically what it is, that is sitting at 5.5 for the pH. It's almost perfect, guys. And so, and that's even digging in that wood chip, or rather scratting it across the top. But that's almost perfect. It's all like 5.5 pH. It's brilliant. If you remember, this is the other potato bed, and just so you get an idea, again, we've done nothing with this except rake it level, and we just firmed it all back down again. And these are the cauliflowers that were struggling, that was over in that other bed that we seen the reading with really acidic, where the peas and French beans are. Look at these guys. These are the other little cauliflowers that we just put in from Lidl, literally a week or just over a week ago. And the purple broccoli. And these are the kale that I got from my father-in-law. Look at these. Absolutely amazing. So I've no doubt, I haven't actually tested the pH in this bed, but I've no doubt it matches that one over there, guys. So yeah, food for thought. Does this wood chip stroke pigeon manure help to balance out the pH on this compost? It would suggest so, guys, wouldn't it? See you later. Right guys, here's yet another little experiment. I probably shouldn't be messing around like this, but I'm going to anyway, just as an experiment. So in here we've harvested one cabbage early, purely and simply because these were getting decimated. And I've decided I would sacrifice this bed again. So it's getting ridiculous. We're getting out of control. But I have discovered the culprit. It was caterpillars, and they were actually hiding in the little gem lettuces. So there was no sign of them on the actual cabbages. But when I pulled one or two of the little gem lettuces, and I thought, well, we can use those, give them to the neighbours or something. As I stripped back the dead leaves, I found caterpillars hiding inside the little gem lettuces. Now, ironically, they weren't eating the little gem lettuces, but they were obviously taking cover in there, coming out and eating the cabbages. So there's a lesson learned, not to plant lettuces with cabbages. At least that's what I believe. Right, so what you'll see here is what's left of the other cabbages. And you can see they've caused quite some damage. So what I've done is I've cut off all of the leaves off these 1, 2, 3, 4 cabbages. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig them up and I'm going to transplant them into this potato bed. Now, a lot of people are going to say, why bother, just plant some more. Well, yes, but one is I want to see if we can get them back from the brink. It's a bit of an experiment. And two, they are already established, so transplanting them into a bed with better pH and clearer soil, etc., then we'll see if they do actually improve and whether they come on or not. Now, they might even end up as an edible commodity, and they may not, but we'll just wait and see, guys. That'll then at least let me dress this bed down again. And what I'm going to do is with the red lettuce, I'm literally going to leave that open. I'm going to leave this bed open now to the birds and let them come in here, and I'm not going to put anything down. I'm going to let the birds come in here and decimate what's left of the caterpillars in case there's any hiding in there as well. And if they take the lettuce as well, well, it's no big deal. We've got plenty of lettuce in the greenhouse, guys. And ironically, we've had no caterpillar trouble in there either, so touch wood. Nothing's touched the lettuces, and we've still got 7 or 8 of those that's still producing, so I'm not too worried. Likewise with these 2 little Brussels sprouts, I'm going to cut all those back and cut all the dead foliage off, and I'm going to see if they will retake, because there's plenty of time for the Brussels sprouts yet, guys. So we'll just see how it goes. See you later. Bye. Right, guys, so what have we done? Basically, we've stripped everything out of this bed now, back to leaving only the red lettuce. And as I said, this bed can stay exposed now. The birds can come in here, clean up the caterpillars. If there's anything hiding in there, they can clean them up out of there. And if they destroy them lettuces, I ain't too fussed about them. So what I've also done is I've been into this bed here now, and I had 3 nice cabbages in there that had just and so started to be attacked. So we've removed the cabbages out of there, picked off the bad leaves, checked them over, made sure there's no eggs on the leaves or anything like that. And likewise with everything we've transplanted. And some Brussels sprouts as well. Now, you don't need a lot of Brussels sprouts to provide you with a lot of Brussels sprouts. So I think I've got a total of 6 plants now, guys. And that's more than enough, and the neighbours as well. So we thought we'd get those 3 cabbages in there that were not too bad. And we'll try and salvage them, plus the Brussels sprout plants. And what we've done here now is we've got this, basically this entire bed fully planted out with brassicas now, guys. So we've got the 1, 2, 3, 4 cabbages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Brussels sprouts, and then the other 3 cabbages we pulled out of that bed there, which is, as you can see, fared a bit better than the other ones. Then what I've also done as another experiment is I've lifted 3 little turnips out of this bed, where you've seen the purpling on the leaves, where they're really and we've seen the pH in this bed, didn't we, how bad it was. So I've taken 3 of these out as an experiment as well and put them in between. I put them in between these plants. So there's one there, one here, and one here. Now on this particular one as well, you'll see they've still got purple on the leaves, but I've took off the bad leaves and checked them over for insects, etc., and they appear to be all okay. The Brussels sprouts really didn't like the transplant, as you can see. They've just all fell over. The cabbages, yeah, I've just given them a good watering in now, guys, and all. They should revive. If they don't, we've lost a few plants. At the end of the day, guys, this is an experimental bed, and one of 2 things will happen. Either we'll end up getting a great crop out of it, and it would have been worth the effort, or B, they'll all die. Big deal. We'll plant something else. So there we go, guys. Hope you've enjoyed today's little video, and we'll catch you later. Bye. Right, guys, I'm pretty exhausted now. It's 4:20 in the afternoon. So what we basically did is we've taken all this cover off this bed here, where we had the Chinese kale and the purple sprout and broccoli and the cauliflowers. We've taken 1 or 2 of the bottom bad leaves off. We've put some slug pellets in there, and we've given them a little spray with the all-purpose bug killer. I noticed 1 or 2 little spiders on the underside of 1 or 2 of the leaves, and a lot of eggs. So I've sprayed them down, guys. Caught them just in the nick of time. And then, as you can see, as we're walking along, we've got this bed finished off now as well, and I've basically interlinked the 2. The green mesh and this fine Invida mesh was a lot longer than, we never ever cut that one, so I've just overlaid over the 2 sets of hoops. And again, we've put a few slug pellets down there. I don't really like using these, guys, but in order to give them the best possible chance and see if we actually get some production out of these 2 beds, that's what I've opted to do. I know not everybody's going to agree with me, guys, but yeah, I'm sick of fighting the pests, so there we go. Right, guys, that really is it. That's me finished for today. You'll get a final roundup in the shed as always, and then I'm going to get myself away home, guys. I've done enough for today. Hi again, guys. Right, final roundup. Today's been more like a feature film. I get carried away sometimes, guys. Like I've said, if these is getting too long, put some comments in the sections below and let me know, and we'll tone it down a bit, and we'll also do them less frequently as well. Right, likewise, if you do enjoy the lengthy videos, comments in the sections below, and also let me know, and then I can gauge the audience and see which way you want to go, guys. Right, so today's been productive day, and again, what I say isn't always what I do. I come up here and went off on a tangent, and we done what we did. So basically, as far as I'm concerned, it's a productive day. I've learned something, and I hope you guys have as well. So I didn't bother dressing down that potato bed where I put the brassicas at when I transplanted the cauliflowers, the cabbages and the Brussels sprouts and the 3 little turnips. Purely and simply because when I tested the pH on that bed, it was almost perfect, guys. About 5.5. So, and apparently about 5 to 7 is good. So, what I've done is, and brassicas do apparently like following turnips as well, for what it's worth, guys. Again, from the father-in-law, it said use your potato beds and follow with brassicas. Brassicas like to go into the same beds that your potatoes have used. Now, we've been gardening for 50, 60 years, guys. He knows his stuff. So sound advice. And it isn't. It's just a bit more than a coincidence. Now, he didn't tell me to put those brassicas into that bed, the first potato bed I used. It's just what I had ready, and I put them in. And I had the Chinese kale, and then I had those purple sprout and broccoli. I had the 3 cauliflowers that had a hard start in life, and another 5 cauliflowers. And it was just what I had to hand to go in the beds. That was the most available bed. It had just been freed up with the potatoes, and I just followed in. And you've seen the growth on those plants going into that potato bed. Now obviously the potatoes have done something to that bed, either the potatoes and or a combination of the pigeon manure stroke wood chip has somehow balanced out the acidity in that soil. Needless to say, the brassicas appear to be coming on in leaps and bounds, and fingers crossed to stay that way. And especially now that I've got in there and didn't just ignore it, took off the dead growth or the dead leaves on the bottom, cut them out to stop attracting snails and things like that. Some slug pellets down and a bit of a spray with the general purpose bug killer. Hopefully that's going to protect the plants, and we're going to get a harvest out of that bed now. Excuse me. And likewise with the ones that we're doing the experimental bed, we give them a good old spraying down when we put them in. We check them all over for eggs and insects before we transplanted them. And we put slug pellets in there again, so we can basically cover that over, and hopefully we can just leave it to its own devices now, guys, and see, A, do we get a productive crop out of it, or B, do they all die a death, and I've got to strip it out anyways and put something else in. Time will tell. Experiments sometimes pay off, guys, and we won't know the results for a few weeks yet. But one thing is for sure, if you follow me along, you'll get to know what the results are. As always, guys, I don't know about you guys, but I really enjoy making these videos for you, and I hope you guys get the same benefit that I do in making them, in watching them, even if it's only for a laugh at my stupidity sometimes. I don't care, guys, as long as you guys get something out of it, one shape or form or another, one shape or form or another, then great. That's what it's all about as far as I'm concerned. Right, as always, guys, any comments, please leave them in the sections below. If you aren't already subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button and then the little bell icon on the right. That'll alert you every time I put up a new video. For now, guys, I bet you're all saying thank God. That really is it for today. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.